that you just saw is courtesy of the newly formed Political Action Committee, Republicans for Hillary. Joining us now, longtime Republican Craig Snyder. He is the founder and chair of the PAC. And a lot of people, Craig, I guess a lot of Republicans, establishment Republicans, see it as a lesser of two evils type election. But most of them still come down, when it comes right down to it, that Hillary, based on Republican principles, is the greater of the two evils. You do not. Why?
Well, I think the fundamental job that a president has is as commander-in-chief. Look, despite all the political rhetoric you hear in every presidential campaign from both parties, presidents of the United States don't actually run our economy. They don't actually run our civil society. The one thing that they really do have a lot of unilateral power over is war and peace. And I think that's the test that has to be met first before you can go on to even consider any other issues.
All right,
when it comes to Donald Trump, he's just unfit.
He's had rhetoric, but we don't know. And maybe you can look into a man's soul. But we do have Hillary Clinton's record as Secretary of State. You can start with Libya, pulling out of Iraq and Afghanistan too quickly, which helped spawn ISIS. Not backing the Syrian rebels, when there was a possibility of doing that. Not crossing a red line. The Russian reset. And then finally can top it all off with the Iran nuclear deal. So you've conceded that her domestic policies are awful in your eyes. I've just given you a list of her foreign policy accomplishments, and you know just from listening and looking at Donald Trump that he'd be worse.
Yeah, I do. First of all, there are the things he said, as incoherent as they are, that are simply outside the mainstream of the fundamental consensus that's existed in American foreign policy making with every president since World War II. We're talking about withdrawing from NATO. We're talking about encouraging the Japanese and the Saudis to get nuclear weapons. We're talking about ordering American soldiers to commit war crimes. I mean, you could go on with this list all day. And I would take issue with your account of Secretary Clinton's record. I think that is an account of President Obama's record. Okay. And the secretary is on record. She can't say this, but we as Republicans for Hillary can say this. She is on record as having disagreed with the president when it comes to leading from behind in Libya and to not taking more serious action in Syria to prevent the emergence of ISIS.
I didn't even go into the long list of ethical challenges, character issues, the server, the FBI investigation, the Clinton Foundation, at least the perception that maybe some State Department business was influenced by donations to the Clinton Foundation. I didn't even mention any of those. Meanwhile, you've got a candidate that got more Republican votes in the primary than any candidate in history. And it just seems to me you're looking at all those people and saying that somehow you have a better eye or you can look more into someone's soul than they're able to. What do you say to those people? They're just clueless?
Well, look, it's a free country. People are able to form their own opinions. They're entitled to theirs. I'm entitled to mine. And the many millions of Republicans who are dissatisfied with Donald Trump and who want a commander-in-chief who's qualified and appropriate also have a right to have their opinions.
I'm not here to Rudy Giuliani. I didn't mention, Jeff Sessions, Chris Christie, and it was Roger Stone. He's admittedly your mentor, right?
He's somebody that was a business partner of mine. Worked closely with him, and I learned a lot about politics from him.
Okay, how much of money has your PAC raised so far?
So I'm not gonna talk about details. We started only over a week ago. We already have contributors and supporters in 10 states, including a number of the swing states that are going to be crucial to deciding the election. We're really just rolling out. We will get, I think, much more fully engaged in the broadcast world after the conventions. But there's a lot of traditionally Republican donor money that is on the sidelines because of people understanding that Donald Trump is temperamentally unfit to be president. Right. That money is going to go somewhere.
What, I guess everybody is viewed relative to where they're standing on the issues. I guess you're a hero among certain circles on what wouldn't normally be your party since you're a longtime Republican. What are you hearing from, I saw what happened to Mitt Romney. What are you hearing from former friends on the right side of the aisle?
It crosses the spectrum. I've gotten a lot of hate mail. I've gotten a lot of all caps screaming and cursing from Donald Trump supporters.
I love that on social media. So you get they're just all caps with a lot of Does anyone just
Exactly.
Does anyone do the shift button and just go all across the top? I guess that stands for a lot of curse words.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, see that too. But I've also gotten a lot of
Yeah.
people saying, I'm your target audience. Thank God you're doing this. We appreciate you're doing this. You know, it's a big country with lots of different opinions. At the end of the day,
it's the devil you know, and it's the devil you know, and the devil you don't know. There's Supreme Court nominations coming up. There's domestic policy. To get that firmly ensconced on that side, you've got to have some pretty bad feelings towards the man's personality, I guess.
Look, it comes down to this: if Donald Trump blunders us or badgers us, which I think is quite possible, into World War III, tax policy, even social policy through the Supreme Court, are going to be seen as second-order things. They're going to be seen as lesser importance than whether or not this country gets into World War III.
That World War III, predicting a World War III from Trump might be some people might push back on that. But if it were to result in World War III, granted you, I'd rather have Hillary too. Anyway, thank you.
Well,
we appreciate your time. All right, thanks.
Thank you.
When we return, breaking data on inflation.